So, Firewalk, the studio behind Concord, got shut down. And, Sony decided to release an email to their team talking about why they shut them down. So, the email reads: Dear team, today I wanted to share some important updates from Sony Interactive Entertainment's Studio Business Group. We consistently evaluate our games portfolio and status of our projects to ensure we are meeting near and long term business priorities. As part of our ongoing efforts to strengthen SIE's studio business, we have had to make a difficult decision relating two of our studios, Neon Koi and Firewalk Studios. Expanding beyond PlayStation's devices and crafting engaging online experiences alongside our single-player games are key focal areas for us as we evolve our revenue streams. We need to be strategic, though, in bringing our games to new platforms and recognize when our games fall short of meeting player expectations. While mobile remains a priority growth area for the studio business, we are in the very early stage of our mobile efforts. To achieve success in the area, we need to concentrate on titles that are in line with PlayStation Studios' pedigree and have the potential to reach more players globally. When this refocused approach, Neon Koi will close and its mobile action game will not be moving forward. I want to express my gratitude to everyone at Neon Koi for their hard work and endless passion to innovate. Regarding Firewalk, as announced in early September, an important update on Concord, certain aspects of Concord were exceptional, but others did not land with enough players, and as a result, we took the game offline. We have spent a considerable time these past few months exploring all our options. After much thought, we have determined that the best path forward is to permanently sunset the game and close the studio. I want to thank all of Firewalk for their craftsmanship, creative spirit, and dedication. The PvP first-person shooter genre is a competitive space that continuously evolving, and unfortunately we did not hit our targets with this title. We will take the lessons learned from Concord and continue to advance our live services capabilities to deliver future growth in the area. I know none of this is easy news to hear, particularly with colleagues and friends departing SIE. Both decisions were given serious thought, and ultimately, we feel they are the right ones to strengthen the organization. Neon Koi and Firewalk were home to many talented individuals, and we will work to find placements for some of those impacted within our global community of studios where possible. I am a big believer in the benefits of embracing creative experimentation and developing a new IP. However, growing through sustainable financials, especially in a challenged economic environment, is critical. While today is a difficult day, there is much to look forward to in the months ahead from the Studio Business Group and our teams. I remain confident that we are building a resilient and capable organization driven by creating unforgettable entertainment experiences for our players. Thank you for your continued support. So, by the way, this email was written by Herman Holst, the CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment. Well, I believe one of the co-CEOs. But he's the head guy in charge of PlayStation right now, in charge of the studios, telling them these are the games to make, these are the games not to make, blah, 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 right? And let's talk about Concord first. So Concord was a hero shooter released, 8 years after Overwatch? And I'm going to be honest, the hero shooter genre, I think, should be done. I don't think we should need any more hero shooter games. We saw with Concord. We're currently seeing with X-Defiant. And I get X-Defiant isn't really as much of a hero shooter as a Concord, as an Overwatch, but it still has those annoying hero shooter elements to the game. And guess what? That game isn't doing too hot either. So honestly, these developers need to stop making hero shooters. I'm tired of these genre of games. I don't want any more hero shooters. No more hero shooters. Overwatch isn't even fucking doing well, and that is the king of hero shooters right now. No more hero shooters. Alright? Second of all, this game was in development for 8 years, and this is the state it came out with. This ugly looking game with some of the ugliest character designs you've ever seen. Say what you want about Overwatch, but people like the character designs of Overwatch. They cosplay as Overwatch characters. They do all this stuff with the Overwatch characters. Some of it not being very safe for work. You know what I mean. But Overwatch, at least the character designs, people like it. Who likes the character designs behind Concord? Who like A-OK these character designs? They are some of the ugliest character designs I've seen in a game in a long time. And just the game was a $40 hero shooter when all the other hero shooters, like Team Fortress 2, like Overwatch 2, and I believe the Marvel Rivals games, are free to play. Why would someone pay a $40 for an inferior Overwatch clone? You might as well just go play Overwatch, right? And I get it, it has an aspect of Destiny to it with the gunplay and all that, but guess what? Destiny 2 is also free to play. So if you want to play Destiny 2, it's right there, free to play. If you want to play Overwatch, it's right there, free to play. You can go play that. And honestly, I don't like this live service approach that Sony is doing. I'd rather have them focus on making more single-player games. You know what they could do? Instead of spending $300 million on a Spider-Man 2, they can make smaller budget games, like an Astrobot. Give me more Astrobot budget level of games, where they don't cost as much to make, but they are still amazing. They are fun. Astrobot is probably like one of my game of the years this year. Like, it's probably one of my favorite games of the year. And can we just get more of those? Just more low-budget games. Because then those games are going to sell well. You're going to make your money back off fewer sold copies. And let's say Spider-Man 2, where the budget is apparently like $300 million. You need to sell how many millions of copies in order to break even? Well, in Astrobot, I don't think you have to sell nearly as much in order to even make a profit for Astrobot. It's probably like a smaller budget game that overall Sony's probably making a good amount of money from that game. And can we just get more of that? No live service stuff. They're trash. Concord was trash. And let's be honest, Fair Games or whatever it's called, that's not going to look too good. I don't think that game is going to do good. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe the game is going to be great. But so far, I don't know. But besides that, I want to talk about Herman Holst. Now, mind you, Herman Holst is the CEO of PlayStation, right? So he's been with the company for a bit, but unlike some of the other people who were president of PlayStation, like Jim Ryan, I know Jim Ryan's a controversial figure, but Jim Ryan, when he started off, he was like the head of the Europe division of PlayStation. He was a key member of making PlayStation as big as it is in Europe, right? So it kind of makes sense to make him head of PlayStation because one of the PlayStation's biggest region, Europe, he was kind of like the main guy for that. He was kind of like the big guy to really help push PlayStation to being as big as they are in Europe. So it makes sense. Herman Holst, he started off working at Guerrilla Games. And I don't know, man. Guerrilla Games has always been a like C to B tier level studios to me. They made Killzone, right? And I know people like Killzone, but let's be honest. Killzone was never to the level of a Call of Duty, of a Halo, or a Battlefield. It was always a low tier or middle tier first person shooter game, right? First one, mid. Second one, good. Third one, good. Fourth one, trash, right? Then that's it. Then they have the Horizon games, which I'm going to be honest, the Horizon games are like the industry plant of gaming, right? They are the Avatar. I'm talking about the blue Avatar, not Last Airbender Avatar, the James Cameron movies Avatar of gaming. Like, yeah, they're popular-ish. They sell well, but like no one really cares about Horizon. I don't know anyone who like talks the way they do of Horizon as they do with Elden Ring, Zelda, Breath of the Wild, God of War, Halo, all these other great franchises, and even like newer franchises like let's say Ghost of Tsushima. That was way more liked than a Horizon. Like I know people still constantly talk about Ghost of Tsushima. I don't know anyone who's like, man, you know what was a great game? Horizon, right? Horizon Zero Dawn. What a fantastic game. And sure, it was an alright game. It was pretty good, I guess. But it's like, is that the guy who is behind those games? Is that the guy you really need leading PlayStation? Like, you have studios like Sucker Punch, right? Since the PS2 generation, they've been putting out bangers after bangers after bangers. They released the Sly Trilogy, all bangers. The Infamous Trilogy, all bangers. Ghost of Tsushima, all bangers. Ghost of Yote, which honestly, I think is going to be a banger, you know? I might be wrong. Maybe it's not going to be good, but I think the game is going to be really good. Honestly, it's Sucker Punch. They haven't missed yet. And sure, we've seen studios who haven't missed before, and then they release a game that turned out to be kind of trash. But I'm hoping Sucker Punch is going to deliver with Ghost of Yotei. I have high expectations for them because they have never let me down before. But with that being said, for some reason, Sony decided, you know what? Let's grab the guys from Guerrilla Studios, the guy who haven't really made the biggest PlayStation franchises. Like, they didn't make God of War, they didn't make Ghost of Tsushima, they didn't make Uncharted, they didn't make The Last of Us, they made Horizon. And another issue I have is the obsession Sony has with Horizon. We got a Horizon VR game. We got 2 Horizon games, mainline Horizon game. We're getting a remastered of Horizon Zero Dawn, a game that came out in 2017, even though there are more beloved games like Bloodborne that still hasn't even received a 60 FPS patch. But we're getting a Horizon remastered, and they're making a Lego Horizon game. Like, dude, who cares about Horizon this much to have these many games, right? It's Horizon. It's not an Uncharted. It's not a God of War. It's not any of those levels, right? And Herman Hulst, by the way, apparently was the guy that really wanted Concord to be a thing. He was the guy pushing for Concord to be a thing. And guess what happened? It flopped, and the studio went down with it. Like, Herman Hulst, let's be honest. Why, out of everyone who kind of just made PlayStation the way they are today, why is he the guy behind Concord, you know? Like, Concord was his golden goose. Like, Concord was his game. Concord was the guy, Herman Hulst was the guy behind Concord. And I'd be like, what is this guy doing? You know? What is this guy doing? Like, say what you want about Jim Ryan, but he had results. He showed he did a pretty good job in terms of boosting PlayStation. Sure, he was very controversial. I'll say, like, his stance on old games. I hated his stance of old games. How, like, I remember when he played Gran Turismo, he's like, who would play this? Who would play these old PS1 games? Yeah, no, he was wrong. Absolutely agree. He was stupid for that, right? But he still released there were still some great games released when he was head of PlayStation. And he at least had the background for proving, hey, he's good at leading a company or leading a division of a company, like he did for the Europe studios. Herman Hulst is the Guerrilla guy. Herman Hulst was the guy who was behind Concord. You know? Well, I know Guerrilla didn't make Concord, but remember, when he became head of PlayStation Studios, he was the guy who kind of pushed heavily for Concord. He was the one, apparently, who saw Concord back in Q1 2023 and was like, this is PlayStation. This is our, big IP. And guess what? And he was the one who pushed for the let's buy Firewalk. But guess what happened? Nope, it flopped. Sure, you can bring up Jim Ryan's purchases. Like, I believe he was the big guy behind Bungie. And I think Bungie was probably, one of the worst purchases PlayStation could have made. But at least Bungie, they have reputation. They have history. The Bungie name is powerful. You know, they're behind arguably one of the more successful live service game behind the Destiny series. They are the guys that made Halo. They're pretty well known. Firewalk, yes, I get it. They're made by the studio was founded by a bunch of people who worked at Call of Duty, Halo, Bungie, Destiny, all that stuff. But they were still a new studio, and he saw Concord and he was like, "We need to buy this studio. We need to buy this studio and have Concord as our game." And look what happened. 2 weeks after the game came out, it got shut down, and now the studio is closed. Honestly, I don't know why. What was Sony's decision? The head of Sony's decisions for making Herman Hulst the head of PlayStation, the head of PlayStation Studio. It should have been someone from a more successful studio, right? And I don't know. Honestly, I'm not surprised that Firewalk got shut down. But honestly, I hope these live service games Sony sees these live service games as like not the way to go from now on, and go back to their sorry, not first person shooter, but their single player game route, and maybe just not overspend on games. Maybe just release smaller budget titles like an Astrobot. I loved Astrobot. Can we have more Astrobot, more games like that, please? Instead of Concord and a bunch of other live service shooter games. But apparently, Sony's still going to continue trying to make live service games, and I'm pretty sure Fair Games. Well, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure Fair Games isn't going to do well. But you know what? That's all I have to say today. For today, I'll talk to you guys later. See ya.